an era of gourmet hunters and enticing dishes. A young man named Komatsu is venturing into the forest to find a world-renowned ingredient hunter named Toriko. Komatsu has been sent by the International Gourmet Organization (IGO) to request Toriko's help in finding ingredients for them. However, Toriko is currently busy fishing and hasn't heard anything Komatsu said. Just as a giant bird was about to steal Toriko's catch, he swiftly dealt with it using his fishing rod. Shortly after, Komatsu informed Toriko that the IGO wants him to hunt a galalligator. As soon as Toriko heard the name galalligator, he became ecstatic because its meat is even more delicious than emperor crow and Kobe beef combined. The two of them set off for the island where the galalligators reside. Toriko quickly recognized Komatsu as a chef due to the food scent on his hands, while Toriko himself is the most renowned ingredient hunter in this era. Finally, they reached the habitat of the galalligators, known as the Southern Wasteland Island. To get there, they had to cross a river filled with level 1 sharks. According to the IGO's standards, creatures at level 1 require at least 10 hunters to catch, while the galalligator they were after was classified as level 5. As they stepped onto the island, a blood-sucking leech fell on Komatsu's neck, frightening him. However, Toriko squeezed some salt water from a plant leaf onto the leech, driving it away since leeches are highly averse to salt. Komatsu then encountered a giant sword-wielding tiger at level 3, but as Toriko revealed his fierce demeanor, the tiger quickly fled in panic. That evening, the two of them grilled a few level 1 frogs and snakes for a makeshift dinner. However, a massive level 5 swamp snake suddenly appeared, disrupting their meal. Surprisingly, the snake collapsed and died, as it had previously suffered a significant bite wound. Before Toriko and Komatsu could comprehend what happened, the snake's body was suddenly dragged underwater. Immediately after, a gigantic galalligator emerged from the depths. Komatsu, frightened, realized that this galalligator was actually a level 8 creature, not the level 5 they initially thought, and it was the one that had bitten and killed the swamp snake earlier. The galalligator had tough tank-like scales, rendering Toriko's regular attacks ineffective. Even its tail strike was powerful enough to send him flying several dozen meters. However, a red demon suddenly appeared behind Toriko, wielding a knife and plate. Toriko activated his food honor technique, transforming his arms into blades with plates. As the galalligator continued its charge, Toriko used his knife and fork technique to pierce and slice it. Toriko and Komatsu then cut the galalligator's meat and grilled it, discovering its succulent, flavorful, and juicy qualities. Grilling it on stones made the exterior crispy while maintaining its moistness inside. During the meal, Komatsu shared his aspiration to become the world's greatest chef, while Toriko expressed his desire to create an extraordinary menu with the world's finest dishes. Impressed by Toriko's intriguing character, Komatsu requested to accompany him on his journey. The next morning, Toriko ate every last bit of the galalligator, leaving none for the IGO organization. This place is a central market specializing in seafood that supplies the entire city. As a result, television reporters often come here to film reports for the people. When Tina, the reporter, spotted Toriko, she immediately recognized him as a famous hunter. So, Tina ran up to interview Toriko, but she was immediately pushed away by IGO security personnel. Because they didn't want to get involved with reporters like Tina, the IGO members took her away. An IGO officer informed Toriko that the rainbow fruit had just ripened, and the rainbow fruit is a top-tier fruit. Just one drop of its juice can turn an entire fruit juice swimming pool. However, the rainbow fruit is currently in the territory of level 9 King Kongs, so no one dares to approach it. IGO asked Toriko to go and harvest the rainbow fruit located in the scenic garden behind the gate, which is under the control of the King Kong tribe. Toriko, however, used his 3-hit style to punch a hole in the wall to intimidate the King Kong and make it run away. Toriko confidently entered the garden, ignoring the fear of those present. Toriko and Komatsu soon encountered a level 9 King Kong, but Toriko used an electric prod to immobilize it because he didn't want to harm the animals in this place. Little Tina followed Toriko here and sneaked past the security to enter the garden. The scent of the rainbow fruit can mesmerize animals to the point of hallucination, so the King Kongs often use it for hunting. Toriko and Komatsu found the rainbow fruit in the lair of the gigantic King Kong tribe. Toriko rushed forward and used an electric prod to immobilize the apes because their meat was not appetizing. Toriko's principle is to only kill creatures that can be eaten. He quickly identified the leader with white fur. Toriko emitted a terrifying, demon-like aura that made the leader fearful and obedient. Toriko then plucked only one fruit, leaving the rest for the apes to use as hunting tools. Tina was recording Toriko with the rainbow fruit when she was grabbed by the guards and taken outside. That night, Komatsu made a fragrant pudding from the rainbow fruit, causing everyone to salivate. As Toriko took a bite, he felt the flavors of various fruits melting in his mouth. It was the most delicious pudding he had ever tasted, so Toriko decided to include the rainbow fruit pudding in his ultimate menu. A few days later, Toriko and Komatsu set out to hunt puffer whales because it was currently their mating season. A hunter named Zong approached Toriko to challenge him when he learned that Toriko was also a hunter. However, as soon as Zong saw Toriko's massive physique, he became fearful and immediately left. Toriko explained that most ingredient hunters in the world often compete with each other. When Toriko saw an elderly man with silver hair approaching and requesting wine, he immediately handed him a bottle of wine. Upon disembarking from the ship, Toriko coincidentally met his best friend, Koko, and Komatsu was astonished because Koko, along with Toriko, was one of the 4 strongest hunters known as the 4 Heavenly Kings. The 4 Heavenly Kings had experienced life-and-death battles against countless species of creatures. Koko summoned an emperor cow to transport Toriko and Komatsu to his home. When they arrived at Koko's home, he laid out a table of food to treat Toriko. Koko mentioned that he had completed half of his ultimate menu, which consisted of top-tier dishes such as dragon's tear soup and phoenix meat. Koko also knew that Toriko and Komatsu were on their way to catch puffer whales, a highly poisonous species that required someone skilled in preparation. If eaten as is, it could send one to heaven immediately. Not to mention, they were deep inside a cave where there were dozens of other dangerous creatures. In addition to being a hunter, Koko was also a fortune teller, so he unintentionally discovered that Komatsu had only 1 year left to live. Hundreds of hunters had gathered to hunt puffer whales, so Tina was present to shoot a video. When she saw Toriko and Koko, she requested to join them to record their journey. Despite Toriko warning her about the dangers inside the cave, Tina still followed along. When she encountered a type of mushroom called baki-baki, Toriko quickly ran over to taste it and assess its flavor. While filming, Tina accidentally encountered Zong's group, but they all fled the cave when they saw a horde of monsters appearing. Koko had a keener eye than most, allowing him to see clearly in the darkness as well as foresee the future of living creatures. Besides his sharp vision, Koko had the ability to excrete toxins through his skin and could defend against almost all naturally occurring poisonous creatures. When a flock of bats arrived, Koko sprayed toxins on himself to eliminate them. However, Komatsu mysteriously disappeared, causing Toriko and Koko great concern. A gigantic demon snake appeared in front of them, a creature at level 21, making it a formidable opponent for Toriko and Koko. The snake's terrifying roar caused the cave entrance to collapse immediately. Prior to this, Tina had attached an ultra-small recording device to Komatsu's hat so she could capture footage without entering the cave. However, she observed Komatsu being abducted by a bearded man. The demon snake managed to grab Toriko with one of its hands, rendering him immobile. When Toriko sensed that the snake was about to spray poison on him, he used all his strength to break free. Toriko used his knife-like technique to sever one of the snake's legs. However, the snake quickly regenerated the lost limb at a rapid pace and sent Toriko flying. As for the kidnapper, he intended to use Komatsu as bait to distract the monsters while he captured puffer whales. Toriko and Koko attempted to work together to defeat the snake, but their attacks were ineffective. Toriko suggested that if Koko could hold the snake still for a moment, he could definitely defeat it. Toriko then concentrated all his strength into his right arm, while Koko rushed to shoot poison into the snake's sensory organs to try to immobilize it for Toriko to use his internal energy. The demon snake quickly caught Koko as he exposed himself, and when it attempted to spray poison on him, Koko created a layer of his own poison on his body. Therefore, even though the snake sprayed poison on him, Koko remained unharmed due to the protective layer of poison. Frustrated by its failed poison attack, the snake then tried to inject venomous spines into Koko, but Koko took advantage of the spines to push his own poison back into the snake's body. As a result, the snake became immobilized and writhed in agony from the shock of the poison. At this point, Toriko had focused all his power into his right arm and relentlessly delivered powerful punches to the snake's body, ultimately defeating it. After defeating the demon snake, Toriko dismembered it into pieces for transportation. Koko was concerned about Komatsu, but Toriko reassured him that he had given Komatsu a secret weapon, so there was no need to worry. Komatsu and the kidnapper were now facing another demon snake. The kidnapper had abandoned Komatsu and fled as soon as he saw the demon snake, only to be killed by a swarm of giant insects shortly after. While on the ship, Toriko had given Komatsu a stunning gun to fend off monsters, and he had instructed Komatsu to cover his ears when using it. However, Komatsu panicked and fired the stunning gun towards the demon snake without covering his ears. The deafening blast from the gun caused Komatsu's heart to stop, but it had no effect on the snake. When Toriko and Koko arrived at the scene, they were relieved to find Komatsu unharmed. It turned out that just as the demon snake was about to devour Komatsu, an old man who had been asking for alcohol on the ship had appeared and transformed into a giant. He used an electric shock to incapacitate the giant snake with a single strike. The old man then used his electric abilities to restart Komatsu's heart and heal his eardrums. Afterward, the old man left the area. Koko and Toriko recognized him as the legendary hunter named Jiro, whose menu consisted of exquisite dishes that no one had ever tasted. Finally, Toriko's group reached the breeding grounds of the puffer whales. Tina was excited to film the scene of capturing the whales, but Komatsu realized he had left his hat on the shore. As they descended into the sea, Toriko and Koko encountered a large school of puffer whales. However, when Toriko tried to catch them, the whales became frightened, released their toxic substances, and died instantly. Koko, on the other hand, submerged himself in the water to approach the school of whales and used electric shocks to paralyze their brains. Seeing this, Toriko also learned to conceal himself in the water and used his fingers to paralyze the whales' brains. After a considerable effort, Toriko and Koko managed to capture 10 puffer whales, much to Komatsu's joy. However, they needed to remove the poison sacs from the whales' bodies before they could be consumed. Koko suggested that Komatsu prepare the fish, as he was a professional chef, and Komatsu would need precise knife skills for this task, which he found even more challenging than defusing bombs. Komatsu successfully prepared the 8 poison whales, and they were no longer considered inedible. He extracted the poison sac from the last whale to the group's delight. They then made puffer whale sashimi and enjoyed it together. As they ate, Toriko felt like all the fatigue in his body had disappeared. Especially when paired with sake, the meal was incomparably delicious. While everyone was dining, a strange figure suddenly appeared with an aura so intimidating that even Toriko and Koko were taken aback. However, this individual had come here solely to capture puffer whales and paid no attention to the Toriko group. After leaving the scene, Toriko's group saw the unfamiliar figure defeating many hunters to steal puffer whales, but Tina remained unharmed. IGO then sent a helicopter to pick up Toriko, while Koko rode an emperor cow back home. While on the helicopter, Toriko made an enormous burger and devoured it in one bite. The creature that IGO wanted Toriko to capture next was the regal mammoth, which Toriko immediately agreed to, as their meat was considered the pinnacle of all meats. The Toriko group then flew to IGO's largest garden, spanning 500,000 square kilometers. This location also served as the world's largest food processing factory, and IGO used it for breeding and genetically reviving extinct animal species. As soon as Toriko met the bald-headed director, Mansam, of this garden, he greeted him warmly. However, Mansam was feeling extremely worried because the Gourmet Corp was about to take action. Mansam explained that the Gourmet Corp was an organization created with the purpose of controlling food resources worldwide, and the robot that Toriko encountered while capturing the puffer whale belonged to them. Mansam temporarily put aside the matter of the Gourmet Corp and took Toriko and Komatsu to an arena. This arena was where the IGO organized battles between ferocious creatures for the entertainment of the wealthy. The money earned from these battles would be used to support impoverished countries facing difficulties. As Toriko settled into his seat, Mansam released a series of fierce monsters, but when he learned that the main character of the battle was a battle wolf, Toriko was very surprised. In ancient times, there was a giant monster that had consumed all the vegetation, causing life on many continents to disappear. However, the battle wolf species appeared and eradicated each of these monsters, saving the entire planet. Mansam wanted the recently bred battle wolf from IGO to fight all the monsters in the arena. The person in charge of the battle was a girl named Rin, an animal trainer. To make the battle more intense, Rin injected a gas into the arena that stimulated the fierceness of the creatures. However, when the creatures rushed to attack, the battle wolf remained still and did not retaliate. Suddenly, Toriko leaped into the arena, punching away the other monsters to rescue the battle wolf. He realized that this particular battle wolf was pregnant. When the renowned hunter Toriko prepared to fight, the entire audience became extremely excited. Toriko pierced through the 2.5-meter thick protective barrier to enter the arena, leaving Mansam wide-eyed in astonishment. Immediately after, Toriko emitted a powerful and terrifying killing intent to push back the group of monsters. Meanwhile, Tina and Komatsu were sitting, enjoying a pricey pear bread treat provided by Mansam. The battle wolf suddenly exhausted and collapsed, so Toriko asked Rin to reduce the combat gas. When he saw a white-faced monkey rushing to attack, Toriko immediately punched it, knocking it out instantly. Toriko was determined to protect the mother and child battle wolves because they were the last remaining individuals of their species. When a horned dinosaur was about to attack, Toriko threw it into the sky, shocking everyone as they witnessed Toriko punch through the protective barrier around the arena. It turned out that Toriko wanted to create a glass fireworks display to welcome the birth of the baby battle wolf. The mother battle wolf successfully gave birth to a very healthy baby. At this moment, a devil serpent that the IGO had captured was becoming strangely agitated. Rin hadn't had a chance to use the sleeping gas on the devil serpent when it broke out of its enclosure. Mansam even used his fry punch to defeat a multi-headed bird to assist Toriko. He couldn't understand how a cloned creature like the battle wolf could have offspring. Tina took the opportunity to run up and film the rare mother and child battle wolves. However, the devil serpent chased after Rin as she ran out of the arena, easily defeating all the other creatures in the blink of an eye. In the face of the devil serpent's appearance, the audience panicked and fled in chaos. Still, Mansam noticed that the president of the Roto Republic remained seated in the stands. However, as Mansam approached, the president suddenly used one hand to stab Mansam. So, Mansam used his fry punch technique to knock him away. It turned out that the person was not the president of the Roto Republic but a robot from the Gourmet Corp organization. However, Toriko realized that it was not the same robot they had encountered before. At this moment, the devil serpent was preparing to attack the mother and child battle wolves. The mother battle wolf moved at a dizzying speed and bit through the serpent's body, leaving Toriko astonished. Immediately after, the baby battle wolf happily ran towards its mother, but as it reached her, the robot shot through the mother's body. When Mansam was stabbed in the chest, Komatsu was extremely shocked. However, after pouring some alcohol on the wound, it disappeared as if nothing had happened. The mother battle wolf continued to approach her cub, and Rin released a thick fog to prevent the robot from attacking them again. Mansam explained that the person controlling the robot was somewhere else, but these robots could still exert all the strength of their controllers. After witnessing the mother battle wolf being shot by the robot, Toriko felt extreme anger. He immediately rushed and punched the dust bag into the robot's face. However, the robot showed no signs of being affected and fired a barrage of energy blades towards Toriko. Nevertheless, Toriko evaded these blades and launched a continuous series of punches to send the robot flying. Due to the robot's excessively tough body, Toriko's right arm became numb after that blow. Then, the robot continued to launch energy blades to push Toriko back. Toriko now had only his left arm left for a final blow. When the robot separated its face to fire a laser beam, Toriko rushed in and punched the robot in the face. Toriko's unexpected punch caused the robot's head to explode instantly. However, the robot was still functioning and was about to self-destruct to blow up the entire arena. Fortunately, Mansam gave orders to his subordinates to fire a laser beam to destroy it. The control core of the robot popped out, attempting to escape, but Mansam ordered his level 35 pet beast named Riki to chase and eliminate the control core. Meanwhile, in the Bishikukai's hideout, the controller of the robot, named Bei, was showing extreme frustration. Luckily for Bei, he had only lost the robot, as he would have met his demise if he had engaged directly. The mother battle wolf passed away due to her severe injuries, while the baby battle wolf offered Toriko a piece of devil serpent meat as thanks for avenging her mother. Toriko accepted the baby battle wolf as his pet and named it Terry. That evening, Mansam organized a feast to treat everyone, and since Mansam was quite a drinker, the menu consisted of various dishes cooked with alcohol. Mansam also invited Tina to the party, but it seemed that Rin wasn't too fond of her. After the meal, Mansam remembered that they had forgotten about capturing the regal mammoth. However, Rin informed them that her elder brother, Sani, had already captured the regal mammoth. Toriko and the others went outside to wait for Sani to bring the mammoth. They took the opportunity to have another piece of meat to curb their hunger. When they saw Sani effortlessly carrying an enormous mammoth with one hand, everyone was astonished. The other beasts that were about to attack Sani immediately fainted. Sani then threw the mammoth towards the group, and Mansam had to exert all his strength to catch it. Sani was revealed to be one of the 4 heavenly kings. This guy Sani only likes beautiful things, so he scolded Rin when he noticed she seemed to have gained some weight. However, Mansam explained that the elephant Sani brought back was just a baby mammoth, leaving everyone astonished, unable to imagine how much bigger the mother mammoth would be. Meanwhile, a sous chef from the Bishikukai named Starjun was planning to capture the regal mammoth. He sent some subordinates to infiltrate Mansam's garden using robots. Starjun was the one controlling the black robot that Toriko and Coco encountered in the puffer whale graveyard. Toriko and the others arrived at a place called the Black Grass Plains. Sani wondered what Komatsu ate every day to have such an unsightly appearance. Sani claimed that his menu consisted of high-quality dishes good for women's skin. Suddenly, a herd of level 27 rock drums approached to attack them. Toriko immediately engaged in battle with the rock drums because their meat grilled up beautifully. Sani, on the other hand, refused to fight because he didn't like dealing with ugly things. However, when he saw Rin being pursued by one of the rock drums, Sani used a gust to blow it away and save his sister. Sani wanted to collect the shells of the rock drums because they could be used to make extremely beautiful furniture. Sani possessed tiny sensory hairs on his head, and these hairs were so strong that he could lift an entire mammoth with them, even turning them into a protective shield to counter enemy attacks. Meanwhile, Mansam was taking the baby regal mammoth back to the laboratory when he received news that the Bishakukai was attacking the garden. The Toriko team had missed one of the rock drums, so it returned and sent them flying in different directions. Sani and Komatsu were thrown to a forest filled with giant mushroom creatures. Surprisingly, Komatsu was delighted when he found a group of squids that could spray chili sauce, while Sani found these squids disgusting. Toriko and Rin ended up in the same location, surrounded by a forest full of bizarre creatures. Rin was happy to be alone with Toriko, but they found themselves in a forest teeming with wild beasts. Tina and Terry remained in their original spot since they were not attacked by the rock drums. Tina suddenly spotted the black robot controlled by Starjun passing by. Sensing danger, Terry carried Tina and went to find Toriko. Toriko and Rin were being surrounded by a group of wild beasts, so Toriko told Rin to spray her combat gas on him. After being stimulated by the combat gas, Toriko's killing intent surged, causing the beasts to panic and flee. Komatsu grilled some mushrooms and sprayed a bit of squid sauce from the squid he found to make a fragrant grilled mushroom dish. Sani, on the other hand, found the dish Komatsu was making truly repulsive, but he praised Komatsu's kitchen knife and his exquisite cooking skills. Mansam brought the baby regal mammoth back to headquarters to obtain jewel meat, which was the most delicious part inside the regal mammoth's body. Meanwhile, a member of the Bishakukai, a robotic being, was massacring the creatures in the garden. However, it was crushed by the mother regal mammoth while searching for its own child. Komatsu and Sani encountered a swamp, so Sani used his hair to get them both to the other side. There, they suddenly saw the carcass of a creature that had been killed by the Bishakukai. Sani realized that the Bishakukai hunts for gourmet cells in order to implant them into human bodies, granting them superhuman abilities. Mansam and the 4 Heavenly Kings had received gourmet cell implants, which is why they were so powerful. Toriko faced off against a level 28 lizard and fought it until he was exhausted. He managed to defeat the lizard and captured it to use as his mount. On the way to the regal mammoth's lair, Toriko and Rin encountered a devil athletics pit, a dangerous racetrack filled with fierce beasts built by the IGO. Toriko, weakened by hunger, needed to find a safe path. After crossing the swamp, Sani and Komatsu discovered a massive candy tree, and Komatsu made some cakes with mushrooms he had gathered earlier. Even someone as picky as Sani had to admit that the food was delicious. They continued on their way to the regal mammoth's lair and were shocked to find enormous footprints belonging to a giant pink robot controlled by a Bishakukai member named Jido. Meanwhile, Toriko's group encountered a mysterious creature called the Mystery Bird. When Toriko's lizard lunged at it, it was hit by the mystery bird's breath and fell into a ravine. This strange bird had incredible speed and could create illusions, making it difficult for Toriko to determine its real location. Toriko was then attacked by the bird but was saved when Terry intervened and kicked the bird away. Toriko was relieved to find out that Terry and Tina were safe. The mystery bird recognized the Qianlang bloodline in Terry, so it froze in fear, allowing Toriko and the others to continue their journey. Thanks to Terry's sharp sense of smell, they easily navigated through devil athletics without encountering any dangerous beasts. However, Terry suddenly sensed the presence of Starjun in devil athletics and immediately turned back to confront him. Despite knowing that Terry was chasing a dangerous adversary, Toriko and the group had to continue their search for the regal mammoth. Meanwhile, Sani was pulling Komatsu up a steep and towering mountain. At the mountain's peak, Jido was fiercely attacking the mother regal mammoth. But his attacks were ineffective against the gigantic creature. The regal mammoth absorbed all the creatures in front of it into its trunk and then expelled their bones after consuming them. Afterward, the mother regal mammoth went into a frenzied charge down the mountainside in search of her offspring. Sani and Komatsu, on the other hand, had to delicately traverse through a territory inhabited by a herd of heavy cliff creatures. They were shocked when they saw the massive figure of the mother regal mammoth descending towards them. Toriko and the 2 girls also rushed to the scene and witnessed the mother regal mammoth falling from the mountain. The heavy cliff herd attacked Sani and Komatsu, believing that they were threatening their territory. In a hurry, Sani had to pull Komatsu and dash down the mountain in a frenzy. When Toriko saw that Sani and Komatsu were in danger, he created a square-shaped pit in the ground and used his hand to scoop out a large chunk of earth to create a safe spot for their group. Sani and Komatsu managed to jump into the pit with Toriko's group just before the mother regal mammoth crashed down. The mother regal mammoth created a massive crater after the collision, while everyone was fortunate to survive thanks to the pit that Toriko had dug in Sani's shield. They only now realized that the mother regal mammoth was as big as a mountain, and the heavy cliffs also survived the fall because their bodies became as hard as stone when they curled up. The heavy cliffs charged at Toriko's group, believing they were the ones who had damaged their homes. However, the heavy cliffs suddenly became paralyzed and fell to the ground because they were poisoned, and everyone discovered that Koko had used his paralysis poison to incapacitate them. Sani noticed Koko's well-timed heroic act. But when Koko reached out to shake hands with Sani, he declined because Koko's hands were full of poison. Koko also used his poison to temporarily immobilize the mother regal mammoth, and he found a robot from the Bishokukai hidden inside the mammoth, searching for the jewel meat. Komatsu was eager to see the precious gem meat, and as everyone was trying to find a way into the mammoth, Jido's giant pink robot landed near them. Meanwhile, Star Jun was still looking for a way through Devil Athletics and accidentally stumbled upon Toriko's naive lizard, promptly subduing it. Seeing that everyone was exhausted, Koko decided to leave Jido to him and called Emperor Crow to help him fight Jido's giant robot. Just as Toriko and the others were contemplating how to enter the mammoth, they were suddenly sucked inside. Koko panicked when he saw the Grim Reaper following one of them, and then Toriko and the rest were swallowed into the mouth of the mother regal mammoth. The entire group realized in horror that they were standing on one of its giant teeth. As the mother regal mammoth's 2 teeth were about to crush them, Toriko and Sani managed to hold them back and leap out just before they closed, falling straight into the mammoth's esophagus. Outside, the battle between Koko and Jido continued fiercely, with Koko solidifying his poison and creating a poison sword to attack Jido. However, Jido's robot was extremely robust, and Koko's attacks had little effect. Inside the mammoth's gut, Toriko's group accidentally encountered a green robot searching for jewel meat. The mammoth's intestines were like a maze, making it difficult for the robot to find the desired meat. Sani suggested that the group go look for the gem meat while he stayed behind to keep the green robot occupied. In reality, Sani didn't want to go deeper into the intestines as he was afraid of getting dirty, but Toriko believed that Sani would surely win because he knew his friend was extremely strong. The green robot fired an energy beam to attack Sani, but his hair blocked it all, transforming into a monster in front of the astonished robot. Terry ran up to confront Star Jun and saw his attack coming before he even struck, so Terry leaped back. However, Star Jun didn't want to waste time with Terry as he still needed to find the gem meat, so he left the lizard he had previously tamed to fight Terry. Meanwhile, Koko and Jido's pink robot were still locked in battle, and when Koko saw Jido preparing to fire a laser from his head, Koko rushed down and fired a poison ray at him. However, Jido successfully shot a laser that hit Koko and then kicked him to the ground, leaving him incapacitated. In this dire situation, Koko decided he would use all his strength to fight, and he released a thick cloud of poisonous smoke around Jido's robot, creating a toxic fog. However, Jido mentioned that he was controlling the robot remotely, so Koko's poison wouldn't have any effect. Immediately after, Jido caused a tremendous and terrifying explosion to dissipate Koko's toxic fog. But when Jido attempted to fire a laser to finish off Koko, he missed, even though he was at point-blank range. His robot suddenly collapsed, becoming uncontrollable. It turned out that Koko had introduced poison into the robot, corroding its control core, rendering Jido unable to control it anymore, making Koko the victor. However, while Koko was resting, Star Jun suddenly appeared nearby, causing him to become greatly alarmed. After examining the baby regal mammoth, Man-san realized that it still didn't have jewel meat because it was too small. He hoped that Toriko's group would find that type of meat inside the mother regal mammoth. Star Jun ignored Koko and went straight into the body of the mother mammoth. Koko saw that one of his friends was about to die in there. While searching for jewel meat, Komatsu suddenly spotted an orange tree growing inside the mammoth's stomach and even found other rare spices. However, Toriko realized that someone had infiltrated the mammoth's body. The green robot tried to maintain a distance to avoid Sani's hair and attacked him from a distance. Recognizing that Sani would soon exhaust himself if he had to continuously defend against the attacks. Right after that, the green robot sat down, waiting for Sani's defenses to weaken, and he displayed his collection of monstrous eyes, making Sani feel nauseous. After inspecting the collection, the green robot suddenly summoned a monster with numerous eyes, and as the monster was preparing to attack Sani, he launched dozens of blades to push it away. However, when the robot saw that Sani seemed exhausted, it actively rushed in and punched Sani in the face. While searching for jewel meat, Komatsu and Tina discussed gourmet cells. Tina knew that the one who discovered gourmet cells was a saint named Acacia. Saint Acacia had tasted all the finest foods in the world, but one day, he found a fish with meat so delicious that nothing could compare. Upon researching, Acacia discovered that the fish's meat was so delectable because it had consumed a certain type of jellyfish from the ocean, and after eating that jellyfish, creatures would evolve when consuming other delicious foods. So, Acacia collected the cells from these jellyfish and named them gourmet cells. The green robot continued to punch Sunny repeatedly, but Sunny was only pretending to weaken to lure him closer. Suddenly, Sunny's hair transformed into a monstrous creature and delivered a devastating blow to the robot. However, the green robot was still functional, so he attempted to flee. Sunny used his hair to infiltrate the robot's body and destroy its control core. After defeating the green robot, the mammoth suddenly blew him out, prompting Coco to order his Emperor Crow to fly over and rescue Sunny. Both Coco and Sunny were exhausted, so they sat outside, eating fruit while waiting for the others. The Toriko group was getting closer to the jewel meat, and the path was getting brighter. However, Toriko suddenly spotted Star June and went into a frenzy, charging to attack him. Nevertheless, with just a light punch, Star June sent Toriko flying and knocked him out cold. Rin, who was about to release smoke to help everyone escape, was also punched by Star June and left severely injured, though she still tried to release the smoke to save the others. Tina and her pigeon companion tried to run outside to call for Sunny and Coco's assistance. While Star June was preparing to attack Komatsu, Toriko suddenly stood up and punched him away. Rin realized that her injuries were severe, and she might not survive. So she asked Toriko to kiss her as a final wish for peace. After that kiss, Rin passed away instantly. Toriko, driven by anger, rushed to attack Star June furiously, seeking revenge for Rin. However, Star June remained unharmed, and he realized that Toriko was self-digesting his own body to continue the fight. Star June explained that those who were infused with gourmet cells typically had to consume large amounts of food daily to sustain themselves. Toriko had been fasting the whole day, so he was currently replenishing his energy by consuming his own gourmet cells to keep fighting. Toriko, despite pushing his limits, eventually became too weak to lift his arm. Consequently, Star June fired an incredibly powerful laser to send Toriko flying toward Tina. Tina desperately tried to awaken Toriko, but he remained motionless. Tina suddenly noticed shiny golden droplets flowing from somewhere as bright as the sun. When Tina gently placed a few drops of that liquid on Toriko's lips, he immediately woke up. They were surprised to discover that it was the meat juice flowing from the jewel meat of the mother regal mammoth. Toriko felt that the marbling in the meat was intricately carved like a work of art, and the taste of the meat juice was more aromatic than any other meat in the world. As Toriko cut a piece of jewel meat, the meat juice burst out like fireworks, and as he tasted it, he cried out in delight, feeling the sweetness of the meat juice spreading throughout his mouth. Additionally, the jewel meat stimulated the gourmet cells in Toriko's body, making him even stronger. Meanwhile, Star June was rummaging through Komatsu's bag to see if he could find anything valuable. Seeing Komatsu's beautiful knife, Star June decided to take it. However, Komatsu declared that he would reclaim the knife because a knife was a chef's life. Despite Star June emitting an intense killing intent, Komatsu refused to let go. Toriko suddenly transformed into a sleeker and more agile form, leaving Star June astonished. Star June realized that Toriko's strength had increased after consuming the jewel meat. He ordered his subordinate to deactivate the shock reduction mode to test Toriko's strength, meaning that the damage Toriko caused would be transferred to Star June's real body. Star June launched a powerful punch at Toriko, but he remained unfazed. Toriko used his knife technique to easily sever one of Star June's arms and continued to pummel him with his 3-hit combo technique, battering him like a pile of trash. After being hit by Toriko's onslaught, Star June's robot immediately exploded into pieces, but his real body was still intact, although he was slightly injured. When they reached Rin for examination, Toriko was overjoyed to find that she was still alive. Toriko managed to obtain the jewel meat and carried Rin out of the mother regal mammoth's body along with everyone else. However, Sunny used his net to catch the jewel meat, causing Toriko to fall flat on his face. Sunny then used his hair to provide temporary aid to Zin. Coco recognized Toriko as the one who had escaped death from the Grim Reaper, and Terry had tamed a lizard, using it to transport Toriko. IGO had released the regal mammoth's child, but it seemed that the mother regal mammoth was still extremely angry. Therefore, the Toriko team hastily took the jewel meat and fled from the scene. Rin, after receiving medical treatment from IGO, recovered from the critical condition. However, upon waking up, she immediately declared herself as Toriko's girlfriend, leaving everyone speechless. That night, they organized a magnificent feast using the jewel meat from the mother regal mammoth. The meat emitted a glow similar to real jewel. After trying a juicy piece of the jewel meat, Komatsu felt an endless sweetness spreading throughout his mouth. Even after eating the jewel meat, everyone's bodies emitted a strange glow. Toriko invited Tina to join the table and thanked her for waking him up when he was injured. Everyone suddenly noticed Sani's body was emitting an incredibly intense light. Toriko decided that he would include this jewel meat dish in his divine menu, but Sani also wanted to feature this glowing meat as the main course on his menu. After a heated argument, Toriko reluctantly gave up this delicious meat to Sani. In the morning, Toriko woke up. He immediately dug into a chocolate block in the middle of the house to eat. Toriko's house seems to be made of candy, so everything is edible, even the doorknob of his house. But he realizes that since birth, his wolf Terry hasn't eaten anything. Meanwhile, Komatsu's cooking skills have reached a new height after his journeys with Toriko, and the dishes he cooks are highly favored by high-ranking officials of the IGO. After being deceived by the robot of the Bishokukai, the president is showing anger towards other executives, and the business director of the IGO wants Komatsu to make a dish from a rare and precious species of tuna to appease him. The president loves the top-grade meat known as bubble meat from the first-rate tuna. And the deliciousness of bubble meat reaches its peak 7 days after the fish is caught. Coco is preparing to leave the city but is immediately surrounded by girls who recognize him as the famous Gourmet Hunter. Meanwhile, Sani wants to go to the recovery country to search for good foods for his hair. Toriko leads Terry into the forest to find a suitable meal for him and encounters a level 15 flying bird. Toriko immediately uses his knocking master ability, causing the bird to collapse on the spot. Afterwards, Toriko grills the bird, but it seems that Terry is not interested. The bird has a rich and wild flavor, similar to the taste of premium Wagyu beef. Additionally, the bones of the flying bird, when deep-fried, become crispy like a snack. However, Toriko still hasn't found any food that Terry likes. Upon returning to the city, Toriko immediately brings a flying bird to sell at a commercial area known as the World Kitchen. The manager, Tomu, of the World Kitchen informs Toriko that the original habitat of Battle Wolf is the Gourmet World. Therefore, Terry only likes food from the Gourmet World, which is the undiscovered land outside the continents where humans live. Legendary Gourmet Hunter Jiru once found a type of corn originating from the Gourmet World called BB corn. Just one BB corn kernel can produce enough popped corn for hundreds of people to eat. Although quite rare, BB corn can also be found on the Gu continent. Part of the human world, but it is located in a forest with many meat-eating plants known as the Botanical Hell. The next morning, Komatsu went to meet Tomu to buy ingredients to make sauce to go with the bubble meat from the first-rate tuna. When he learned that Toriko was heading to the Gu continent, Komatsu insisted on going along because there is a fruit called the star sauce fruit that makes a delicious sauce. Tina also wants to accompany Komatsu to make a YouTube video. Komatsu and Tina asked IGO staff to take them to the Botanical Hell on the Gu continent. Meanwhile, Sani is preparing to go to the recovery country to find hair beauty products. But upon learning that Toriko is going to the Gu continent, Rin insists that Sani must take her there to meet her crush. Toriko and Terry are flown by IGO's plane to the outskirts of the Botanical Hell, where Terry quickly marks his territory. Soon after, Toriko finds a plant called the lantern wine, and upon opening one, he has a bowl full of wine to quench his thirst. In addition, Toriko also finds fried potato flowers as snack. Terry suddenly discovers a giant peach lying in the middle of an empty field, and a flying squirrel suddenly emerges from below the ground, attempting to grab Terry. However, Terry jumps out in time. It turns out that this flying squirrel uses the delicious peach on its head to hunt for prey. Toriko ignores the squirrel and quickly enters the Botanical Hell Forest to find BB corn for Terry. As Komatsu and Tina arrive, they see Toriko entering the forest from the plane. An IGO employee suggests they wait outside because the Botanical Hell is dangerous. However, Komatsu insists on searching for the star sauce fruit because the bubble meat will expire in 2 days. Suddenly, Zong comes running out of the forest with his gang, revealing that they also came to explore but got scared off by a meat-eating plant. Meanwhile, as Toriko walks through the forest with Terry, a flock of loud birds suddenly defecates on Toriko. Inside the droppings are seeds of a meat-eating plant that grows rapidly. Toriko uses his knife technique to cut the plant. Next, a colossal root monster appears and grabs Terry. After a fierce struggle, Terry manages to escape, and Toriko wants Terry to defeat the creature to gain combat experience. Terry attacks the root monster with incredible speed, but the creature regenerates its wounds and easily catches Terry. It swallows Terry in front of Toriko. However, the creature suddenly bursts into flames, and it has to spit out Terry. It turns out that Terry tore the wine fruits on the creature's head, then bit down with great strength, causing the alcohol in the fruits to ignite and incinerate the creature. After climbing the trees in the forest for a while, Toriko successfully finds BB corn. However, Toriko can't harvest BB corn in the usual way because it's extremely tough. Toriko has to continuously use his knife technique to chop one corn, and to his amazement, he finds a corn as big as a building. Toriko tried to jump up and use his knife technique to cut the giant corn, but it proved to be challenging. Together with Terry, Toriko attempted to peel away each layer of the outer husk of the giant corn. After successfully removing the outer layers, Toriko saw the beautiful golden BB corn seeds, but extracting them was still a difficult task. Toriko circled behind the corn and continuously punched its stalk. After Toriko's powerful and fierce attacks, dozens of BB corns were released, but there were still many layers of corn that Toriko couldn't reach. To turn this section of corn into popcorn, Toriko needed to cook them at the temperature of a volcano. Toriko and Terry decided to head to a nearby volcano in this forest to roast the corn. Komatsu's group is currently being chased by a giant flower mantis. However, Komatsu accidentally discovers a star sauce fruit, quickly grabs it, and continues to run away from the mantis. Despite being caught by the mantis and swallowed, Komatsu manages to scare the creature away by putting a bit of extremely spicy pepper powder into its mouth. Sani plans to make a grand entrance to save Komatsu but fails to achieve anything remarkable. As soon as everyone sees Toriko, they express immense joy and run to greet him. Immediately after, Komatsu and Tina ask Sani to transport them back using his flashy helicopter to prepare the tuna meat in time. Toriko leads Terry to a nearby volcano to roast the corn. The rocks in this area are arranged in layers, and as they ascend, the temperature decreases. To prevent the corn from burning, Toriko must carefully roast it from top to bottom. However, as they descend, the temperature increases, making Toriko and Terry feel the heat. Nevertheless, they are overjoyed when they see the corn popping, releasing a delicious aroma, and Terry happily devours a piece of popcorn to Toriko's delight. Toriko then took a piece and slowly savored its flavor. This popcorn had the ability to stimulate the taste buds, making Toriko unable to stop eating it. Therefore, Toriko decided to choose BB corn popcorn as the appetizer in his menu. Moreover, the volcano here emitted a type of ash containing salt to spice up this popcorn. However, a strange guy suddenly appeared and sucked away Toriko's popcorn with a large nozzle, even demanding to suck up Terry, prompting Terry to run away hastily. Toriko then rushed to strike a powerful blow at the guy's nozzle, but it didn't break. It turned out that he was a sous chef of the Bishokukai named Green Park. Green Park had very healthy lungs for sucking up food, eating everything he could find, even rats. His nozzle was made from the proboscis of a giant mosquito, making it very sturdy. It appeared that Green Park had also come here to find BB corn as a gift for his boss, and the Bishokukai's main goal was to find a material called God. Whoever possessed this divine material would control the entire world. In ancient times, the nations of the world engaged in a war that lasted centuries. It was believed to be the world's end when the legendary Gourmet Hunter Acacia presented a dish called God to the leaders for a taste test. The most effective time for this dish was during the gourmet eclipse, occurring every few hundred years. After trying Acacia's God dish, the world leaders were deeply moved, and they decided to end the war so that everyone could enjoy this dish. In fact, God was the dish that opened the era of gourmet cuisine as it is known today. Green Park revealed that the gourmet eclipse would make the God dish reappear in the next few years, and many powerful hunters, as well as the bosses of Bishokukai, desired to obtain God. Toriko determined that he would make God the main course in his menu. However, when Green Park noticed Toriko also wanted to acquire God, he decided to eliminate Toriko. Both of them emitted extremely intense killing intent, threatening each other. As soon as Green Park used the suction tube to blow a strong breath towards Toriko, Toriko also threw a punch at him. The shock from that attack pushed both of them away. Green Park then tried to maintain distance and used his breath gun to attack Toriko from a distance because he knew Toriko's techniques were mostly close range. However, after consuming the diamond pork from the regal mammoth, Toriko's cells evolved. At this point, Toriko could use the knife and fork attack to strike Green Park from a very far distance. The damage was enough to injure Green Park, but it didn't finish him off. Green Park took a deep breath and blew an incredibly powerful breath towards Toriko, evaporating everything in an instant. However, Toriko suddenly slipped behind Green Park and severed his suction tube. It turned out Toriko had waited for the moment when Green Park lost visibility due to his skills to fly over. After the fight, Green Park realized Toriko was a very powerful opponent. However, Green Park abruptly requested to stop the game and called back his pet. Toriko was amazed to see that Green Park's insect was carrying a gigantic BB corn. Green Park then jumped onto the back of the insect and left with the BB corn. Toriko realized that the sous chefs of the Bishokukai were as strong as monsters. At this moment, many reporters were gathered at the dinner of politicians, including President Roto. There were only 5 minutes left until the first-grade tuna meat reached its peak flavor. However, Komatsu had not yet brought back the star sauce, so the IGO business director decided to temporarily serve the president with tuna and soy sauce. Immediately after, Sonny crashed his helicopter in front of the hotel. Some reporters quickly surrounded Komatsu when they found out he was the chef for the first-grade tuna. However, Komatsu swiftly ran into the hotel to complete the first-grade tuna dish on time. The IGO business director then brought the tuna with soy sauce to President Roto. Komatsu suddenly appeared and stopped the president to wait for him to finish the star sauce. However, while Komatsu was preparing the sauce for the tuna dish, the tuna suddenly turned into bubbles because, after reaching its peak flavor, the tuna would transform into bubbles and disappear. After waiting for a long time without food, President Roto became very angry and demanded to leave. However, Coco suddenly brought another first-grade tuna, delighting Komatsu. He received this tuna from a seafood company as a gift after helping them catch 3 tunas. Another issue was that Komatsu's sauce lacked a bit of salt. Toriko appeared with a bag of salt that he obtained from the volcano on the Gourmet continent. Komatsu then recreated the tuna dish with all the necessary ingredients. After trying a piece of the first-grade tuna, President Roto sensed the taste of all sea creatures, and the star sauce brought the flavor of various vegetables. After finishing Komatsu's tuna dish, President Roto was no longer angry. Toriko also made a lot of BB corn snacks to treat everyone, and when drizzled with Komatsu's star sauce, the corn snacks became even more delicious. Many days later, Toriko took Komatsu to a massive culinary city called Gourmet Town. Komatsu was amazed because Gourmet Town had all the dishes from around the world. Meanwhile, Bishikukai's head chef, Komatsu, gathered his subordinates for a feast. However, Green Park returned and sucked all the food from the table. Komatsu felt sad after failing to hunt the diamond meat of the Jewel King, as eating that meat would elevate the gourmet cells to a new level. Nevertheless, it's not only the diamond meat that can help gourmet cells evolve, and they plan to search for the century soup in the Icehell continent to achieve evolution. Only those with legitimate citizenship cards are allowed to enter Gourmet Town. However, nonchalant individuals like Zong are not allowed. Knowing Toriko was famous, a kebab shop invited him to try a piece, but Toriko requested the entire giant meat skewer and ate it all in one go. After finishing the kebab, Toriko and Komatsu went to Ramen Ichiraku. Toriko continuously ate over 5 million yen worth of ramen, causing the shop to close for the day. During a buffet, Toriko ate all the food on the conveyor belt. Later, he took Komatsu to a kitchenware store, where Komatsu was fascinated by the high-quality cooking utensils. However, a wealthy old man suddenly appeared and bought everything in the store. Toriko came to Gourmet Town today to meet an elderly woman named Setsuno. Komatsu was amazed to recognize Setsuno as a legendary chef worldwide. Setsuno then insisted that Toriko tidy up to visit her restaurant, which she doesn't open regularly but only when she feels like it. On the way, Setsuno revealed that she used to be a pair with the legendary Gourmet Hunter Jiru, as hunters often collaborate with suitable chefs to process the ingredients they find. Upon reaching Setsuno's restaurant, Komatsu was surprised to see a large castle-like structure, but in reality, Setsuno's restaurant was a humble hut next to that castle. Upon entering, Komatsu was even more astonished to find that it was a very ordinary rice eatery. Setsuno explained that today she would cook a special dish for Toriko and Komatsu, and they were surprised when they learned that the intended dish was the century soup. Setsuno began preparing the ingredients, and Komatsu was amazed by her incredible cutting skills. The restaurant used top-notch light beverages, and all the dishes were made from extremely rare ingredients. While waiting for the century soup, Setsuno used 10 egg yolks to make garlic fried rice for Toriko and Komatsu to have as an appetizer. After trying a piece of meat, Komatsu felt the harmony of the garlic and the rich flavor of the egg. Setsuno was surprised at how well Komatsu's taste buds responded. Setsuno then declared that she had finished making the century soup. However, when she opened the soup pot, Toriko and Komatsu only saw an empty pot. Nevertheless, Toriko could still smell the aroma of various ingredients, and the fragrance of the soup attracted many people, including Tina, who came to record a food review video. It turned out that Setsuno made the century soup by simmering various ingredients for half a year and then filtering out impurities, making the soup transparent to the naked eye. Although it was as clear as filtered water, Toriko and Komatsu could still perceive the rich taste of the ingredients. Setsuno then led Toriko and Komatsu to visit her actual kitchen below the basement, and they were astonished to find her supersized kitchen with rare ingredients. Setsuno took them to a giant pot used to cook the century soup. She effortlessly jumped onto the pot's rim, while Toriko and Komatsu had to climb a ladder since the pot was hundreds of meters high. Upon reaching the pot's rim, Toriko and Komatsu unexpectedly saw hundreds of rare ingredients being stewed by Setsuno. However, Setsuno revealed that her century soup was not yet complete. The century soup originated from nature, and after Jiru had a taste of the true century soup, Setsuno tried to recreate it as closely as possible but still couldn't find a certain flavor to perfect the soup. Feeling that Toriko and Komatsu had excellent taste buds, Setsuno asked them to find the true century soup for her. They immediately agreed because they also wanted to experience the true century soup. But before setting out, Toriko needed to buy some supplies from a bar, and the place he went to was a bar where hunters usually gathered to drink and relax. A scar-faced hunter named Max approached a young man named Takamaru, a member of the Gourmet Knights. However, upon Toriko's arrival, everyone fell silent as Toriko was a top-tier hunter globally, earning him the respect of all the hunters. Toriko asked the bar owner to pour him a beer, and he downed it in one go. As soon as Zong noticed Toriko, he approached to strike up a conversation, making everyone think that he, too, must be a skilled individual. Suddenly, a group of guards in black attire rushed into the bar, and an old man named Major Marco appeared to the astonishment of everyone. Komatsu recognized him as the wealthy man who had bought all the cooking utensils on a previous occasion. It turned out that Marco came to hire hunters to find the century soup for him, offering a reward of over 10 billion yen. Excited by the enormous prize money, everyone gladly accepted the mission, including Toriko and Komatsu, who were on a quest to find the century soup for Setsuno. The bar owner led Toriko to a secret room, where he kept equipment for professional hunters. Toriko purchased a device capable of reading the nutritional content of ingredients. The next morning, all the hunters, including Toriko and Komatsu, boarded Marco's ship to embark on the journey to find the century soup. Tina, disguised as a hunter, also joined to record the adventure. Marco informed everyone that the century soup would appear in a frigid area known as Ice Hell, which used to be a place for preserving food before the invention of refrigerators. The frozen food there piled up into a colossal tower, and every century, the ice would melt, releasing the flavors of the ingredients within. The liquid that flowed from the ice was the century soup. Each person was given an insulated suit because the ice hell was extremely cold. Toriko befriended Takamaru, as Toriko also knew his team captain. Suddenly, a group of crocodiles climbed onto the boat and attacked everyone, but Max easily slashed one crocodile into 3 pieces, while Takamaru used his internal energy and punched to break all the crocodile's ribs. The final boat reached the towering ice mountain known as Ice Hell, and a massive chunk of ice suddenly fell onto the boat, frightening everyone. Toriko unleashed a powerful triple-hit fist, shattering the ice, leaving everyone in awe. As the mountain was quite tall, Marco prepared a helicopter to take everyone to the top. However, due to having only one helicopter, the group had to split into 2 trips. Toriko and Komatsu took the first trip, with Tina following them to film. Coincidentally, Zong and his gang met Tina, and to showcase his strength, Zong decided not to wear the thermal suit. However, upon landing, Zong felt the extreme cold, and due to strong winds at the mountain top, the helicopter could only get everyone close to the summit. Toriko then carried Komatsu and climbed to the summit along with other hunters. Once they arrived, they unexpectedly saw a dragon frozen in ice. Toriko recognized it as the most powerful creature in Ice Hell, called the Frozen Dragon. Since it was the mightiest being, it couldn't be frozen easily like this. Meanwhile, some unknown individuals had infiltrated the second flight, and Marco used a holographic image to falsely claim he wasn't accompanying the hunters. Because Tina had weak legs and soft hands, she asked Zong to carry her up the mountain. However, due to the freezing wind, Tina couldn't speak in the video. Toriko then took the role of the group leader, leading everyone into the center of the icy mountain. Zong took a separate path, instructing his subordinates to find another way. Absorbed in filming, Tina got separated from Toriko's group but luckily found Zong's group and decided to travel with them. The Toriko team struggled to move through the fierce and chilling winds, sometimes blowing ice shards as sharp as spears. When they noticed everyone was getting quite exhausted, Toriko quickly dug a square hole in the snow, and the entire group went down into the pit to take a break. Komatsu was completely exhausted from the extreme cold, so Takamaru prepared a cup of hot milk for him. Despite his dislike for Max, Takamaru made a cup for him too. Meanwhile, Toriko stood guard above, still curious about the one who froze the frozen dragon. On the other hand, a Bishakukai group also set foot on the ice hell and was led by a sous chef named Tommy, who was also the one responsible for killing the frozen dragon. Seeing Toriko on guard for quite some time, Max suggested switching shifts with him. Max thanked Toriko for his assistance in getting the gang this far. Zong's group, including Tina, found a windless path but got startled when they accidentally stumbled upon the den of giant snow lions. They had to quickly run away before becoming the lion's prey. As Komatsu couldn't bear the extreme cold, Toriko had to carry him. When the group continued moving and found a type of mushroom with heat-retaining properties, Toriko immediately fed it to Komatsu to restore his strength. Soon after, the Toriko team encountered a herd of snow bull, classified as level 11. Takamaru activated his internal energy and swiftly struck to break the bones of one snow bull. Max and Toriko easily defeated 2 more snow bulls, and Toriko suddenly emitted a terrifying aura to drive away the remaining bulls, leaving Max astonished. Toriko stripped the fur from the herd of bulls and used them as coats for everyone. The meat was delicious, so Toriko also grilled some for a satisfying meal. Meanwhile, Tommy released some repulsive bugs from his mouth and commanded them to chase after the Toriko team, leading to a brutal attack. After finishing their meal, the Toriko team reached the central ice mountain, but only Max and Takamaru remained in the group as most of the other hunters had given up along the way. Having escaped the sea lion encounter, Zong's group, including Tina, encountered a snow leopard. While trying to escape, they fell down a cliff. Tina managed to capture some footage before her potential demise. Fortunately, they landed on a small rock ledge on the mountainside and found a cave leading straight into the heart of Ice Hell. A mysterious masked individual infiltrated the second flight to get to this point. When seeing Tommy's bugs flying by, he effortlessly subdued them. Tommy and his 2 henchmen later discovered the dead bugs. However, the masked man had already left and entered a cave leading to the center of the island. Toriko explained that the century soup typically emits a radiant glow, inviting diners. As they conversed, a polar bear with a single horn suddenly attacked them. Toriko swiftly defeated the bear with his fork and knife technique. After defeating the one-horned bear, they proceeded to butcher it for a hot pot, and Toriko found the flavor of bear meat to be simple yet as delicious as a home-cooked meal. Thank you for watching the entire video. If you enjoyed it, please click subscribe, like, and the notification bell. Thank you.